everyone, you're welcome to my YouTube channel, Asperia K Wogabaga. Now in today's episode, we have Gloria. You already know her if you have watched our previous videos. She's going to tell us more about her childhood traumas, memories, how she's navigating life as an adult, single motherhood, everything. I don't want to cheat for you. So sit, settle, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and let's get right into the video. So Gloria, you're welcome to the channel again. I know our viewers loved you because I saw some of the comments. Some of them know you as their village. Someone said that you are their village celebrity. So Gloria, tell us more about your childhood.
Hi guys, as you know, I was already here the other day, and today I want to dive more into my childhood. But I want to tell you in two parts.
Okay.
So I'm going to tell you before I was born.
Okay. Hey. So wait, before you were born, just
so
tell me you know
there is a certain story my mom told me that happened before I was born. So to clearly understand my childhood, you should also know what happened before I was born, because it will lead to something after I was born. Okay. So that's where I will start from.
It's fine.
I was born to a last born. My mother was a last born to a family of 6 children. So at that time I was born, my mother was the one who had not yet given birth. Okay. Yes, everyone else had given birth, but my mom. So my mom had a stillbirth. She had a child. I'm not the firstborn. So she had a child who died at birth.
Okay, before
I was born. So because she had a stillbirth and she was not married, her family sat her down and told her not to have other children before she's married. Okay. But she had me when she wasn't married.
Okay, so she rebelled.
Yes.
And went ahead and got pregnant.
Rebelled and went ahead and got pregnant. So because of that, because she did not listen to her parents and her siblings, there is a way they traumatized her. So they didn't treat her well. They didn't treat her well at all when she got pregnant of me. At a certain point, she even wanted to abort.
Oh.
This is what she told me.
Imagine we could have lost her soul.
Exactly. So this is as told to me by my mother. Yes, before I was born, she had even considered aborting. But she had a friend. So if you're a girl, when you get pregnant, you tell a certain friend. This friend told her, directed her to a certain herb, which she knew. So the friend told her to take 2 cups. 2 cups of that herb. Grind that herb, get water, drink 2 cups. The pregnancy will get out. But my mother knew that herb. And she knew that herb, even if you take half a cup, it can kill you.
But the friend was recommending that.
Out of love and also ignorance. So that friend of hers told her to take 2 cups. But my mother knew that if you take half a cup of that herb, it can kill you. So she said, if the half a cup can kill you, how about if I take 2 cups? Won't I also die? So that's how I survived.
Wow.
Yes, that's how
I think that was God's way of making you survive.
Yes. So my mother didn't abort me, thank God. And here I am. So my earlier childhood was good. After, when you deliver a child, they have already accepted.
And she was the last born.
Yeah.
Probably you came in as, the youngest baby.
The youngest baby. But remember when she was pregnant, throughout all this trauma, she even had to leave home, go to a certain relative's place. Life wasn't easy at that relative's place, so she still came back home. So when I was born, everyone was happy. I was like a beautiful baby, the child of the last born. So now all the past was forgotten and I was treated with love. My earlier childhood had a lot of love. I was so loved. My mom had only me for a long time, for like even 6 years before she had a second child. Yes.
So your brother is really young.
Yes, he's young. So I was really loved. My childhood was good. Everyone, our family is big. So I was surrounded with so much love.
Until
my teenage years. Yes, I was filled with love until my teenage years.
So what really happened in your teenage? Like, why did you have that bracket as something that wasn't easy? What happened?
So I think this one, every child who was raised by a single parent knows about it. When your mother has raised you or your father has raised you for a long time, there is a time in their own lives when I think things are not going on well. That circumstance, just being a single parent, at a certain point, it affects them. So in reciprocation, they transfer this to the child. I know every child of a single parent, at a certain point, if you look at your childhood, there is that point when things were not easy for your parent, and then it had to transfer to you. And to me, it happened during my teenage years. Like when I joined secondary school. When I joined secondary school, I think with all teenage vibe, so my mother didn't handle it well. She didn't handle my teenage years so well. So when I joined secondary school, my dad during primary school was a little bit supportive. But when I joined secondary school, he supported for us a short while, like first term of secondary school, and then after he fell sick. So when he fell sick, now he gave up all the responsibility to my mom. Even the small support the tiny support he was giving before, all ceased.
So mommy was supposed to face life alone.
She had been facing it alone, but at least there was small support. Like availability. My dad took me to the school. Like he's the one who went to the secondary school, asked for a vacancy, bought for me some things. Like he was also excited. His firstborn was going to secondary school. But at a certain point when he fell sick, my mom took up the responsibility. And I think according to my dad, my mom handled it well. Like she was good at it. She didn't feel anything concerning the other small support that had gone. So when my mom handled it well, my dad gave it all up and left it for my mom. Remember, also his children now had grown. They were somewhere in primary, upper primary. So now all the responsibility fell on my mom. So I cannot defend her. So I will tell my own story. Not like she mistreated me because my dad was absent. No, it's not okay. So when I was in secondary school, after my dad fell sick, now my mom took up all the responsibility, the school fees, the requirements, nothing. Now even the availability, nothing. And at that point, my brother had already been born and was also older. So I felt at a certain point that my mom mistreated me. I think she mistreated me. I don't think that I was a bad child. I don't know.
Sometimes when I'm in a teenage group, there's a way you behave.
I didn't have teenage groups. I wasn't in any peer
and groups. Some girls change, they become bad girls.
Yeah.
They get bad companies in high school. And
as a single mom, you start to fear.
You start to fear. She's going to get pregnant.
Yeah, she's going to be so. And let me tell you, in my village, everyone told my mom that she's wasting time. Yes.
Educating a girl.
Exactly. My mom was very serious with my education. Of all the things she wanted me to be educated. So she would say, I did not go to school, but my child should go to school. And remember, I was the only child in school. And then maybe when she saw me talking to a certain person, standing with a certain friend on the roadside, she said, she's going to get pregnant. And women would tell her she's going to get pregnant.
Those groups of women in the village,
they would tell her she's going to get pregnant. Even in my village, like my mom was so serious with my education that even some men were concerned. They said, you are wasting time educating a girl child. She's going to shame you. She's going to get pregnant. So my mom had, I think, to wear her wings and her thorns and surround me to protect me from all those. But according to me, it was too much. Yeah, it was too much because I wasn't a bad child. I was a bright child. And of all the things I also wanted, I wanted to be in school. I also didn't want to shame her.
You know that sometimes those parents cannot know what
They
is in
cannot
our
know.
hearts.
Yes.
So then they feel they should do everything to protect us.
Yes, that's why I say that, we can define success differently. You see, I may say that I didn't want to shame her, I wanted to be in school. And someone is like, hey, but you find that if you have been in an illiterate family, you have grown up from an illiterate background, just even completing senior 4 is success. Even getting a certificate.
I've seen parents celebrating that my daughter has finished senior 4. Like it's a whole big achievement.
You see on graduation they bring a band, playing a band behind a graduate. You're like, these ones are wasting time. But you do not know the struggle they went through to even reach there. For us poor people, success is breaking generational curses. If you break one, like if your family, everyone in your family is unmarried, just you being in that marriage and you're happy and you stay there,
even if it's success. For that 6 months,
yes,
it's success.
Even if it is for a year, just for us, the poor, breaking generational curses is success. So I also wanted to break the generational curse of illiteracy. My mother had not gone to school, my dad had not gone to school, but since she was struggling to make sure that I go to school, I said, I'm also going to go to school. But my mom did not get it. At that point, I think as a parent, you don't get it. You don't say, now let me leave her because she knows what she wants. Let me leave her. So my mom in that moment really, really protected me beyond. My mom beat me. Even when you're in high school. She woke up and used to see me, this beautiful girl in school, very shining, laughing. But I had the trauma. My mom mistreated me. My mom beat me up to campus. Even when I was at campus, my mom beat me, yes.
Like why?
Now I can give you like a scenario. There is a certain time when my mom would beat me like every day. And she even throws me out of the house. Then I would go and sleep at my grandmother's. Yeah, that's why I said I love my grandmother. So every time I'd go crying, my grandmother would say, you would cry and stop. So at a certain point, I stopped crying. Like they beat me and I'm just there.
You are old man.
Yes, and I feel like she has beat me for no reason. Or like I go to my grandmother, I'm like, I did this happened. Was I supposed to be beaten? Like there is a certain time I was working with the UBOS during the 2014 census? Yes, and I was at campus. I went to work, and that morning I had someone, when we were doing that census, we wouldn't jump a household. So you'd record in your books, even if you don't find the person there, you record that house. Then in the evening, when you're winding up with the work, you still come back and do fill in that household. So that time, I found some house where there was no one, and so I just recorded it to come back and fill it in the evening. But again, when I came in the evening, I did not find the person. So I had to sit at their home and wait for them to come back. So I came home like at 7:30 there in the evening. My mom quarreled, like hell broke loose. She quarreled, she beat me, she even threw me out of the house.
She could not listen to you.
She could not listen. She said, I don't want to hear anything. You were there messing up. You were there. You are going to get pregnant. You are at campus. So I went and slept at my grandmother's house. But like these occurrences were so many. Now that is just one scenario. But my mom was, I don't know if she was so protective or she had bad peers who were advising her, naza kushwaza omwicho gwe niwo omushomesizi naza kushwaza omwicho atakakujoga. Like she had groups of women who would tell her that omwicho katakujoga niwo omuhikiza hakiri. So like she made sure that tinamujoga kandi like tinatekerezanga I'm now above her. Even if I'm at campus, even if I'm where, I am still
under her.
She
used the iron hand.
It was so iron. It was so bad. And these occurrences were in my childhood, my teenage years, like from senior 1, senior 2, up to campus. I couldn't report. because now, like the chairperson LC1, my mother is tough. Even in our village, everyone knows that my mother is tough. So even the chairperson LC1, he would talk anything, and my mother would abuse her. If she's your child, you take her. If she's your child, you take her. Or she would tell my grandmother, if she's your child, take her. Go and be with her. And for me, I feared that she would stop paying my school fees. So I said, if I report to the police and she stops paying my school fees, what will I do? I knew that if I go to my father's house, they won't pay my school fees. If I go, where will I go?
So you had nowhere to run.
I had nowhere to run to. So I said, let me just persevere. My grandmother told me, persevere. You are going to finish your school, you'll get a job, you'll go away. So I waited for that time I would go away. But because I loved my home, I studied from Gulu University. So after every 4 months of the semester, I thought about running home. But my mom, there's a certain day I came from campus after 4 months, and my mother didn't greet me.
Why? You are really fun.
Just to know you, girl. When you see us here, we have gone through a lot. You may be there going through the same thing. You're like, now life is over. Let me commit suicide, or let me even leave this. Let me go and get married. I am done with this situation. But just persevere. Everything will come to an end.
Did you feel like fighting your mom?
No. How could I fight my mom?
I know.
So that time when I came back from campus and she did not greet me, Gulu is very far. It's very far from Bonyaruguru. So most times I would come and sleep in Kampala. By the time I would call my mom and say, tomorrow I'm coming. So my mom would note, tomorrow she is coming. Should I come after tomorrow? Where have I been?
Okay.
So that day I came from Gulu, went to Kampala. Most times my mom would give me transport from Gulu to Kampala. Then my dad used me transport
From
Kampala to Nyaruguru. Yes. So when I reached Gulu, most times we would like travel throughout the night, reach Kampala in the morning. So when I reached Kampala, my dad delayed to send the money. So he sent the money like at midday. And so I got a bus at midday. I got Global. I said, now I want to rush. I want to rush and get home faster. So I got Global, but Global reached Mbarara at night, like at 9. I said, where do I get taxis? The taxis that were there would stop in Ishaka. I said, if I board up to Ishaka and I reach home, I reach Ishaka at night, late in the night, I will not get a taxi to Nyaruguru. So there was a certain friend of mine in Mbarara. I just even called her like emergency. I said, I'm in Mbarara, I have nowhere to sleep. Can I sleep at your home? She said, yes, you can. So I went to her home. When I reached home, because I had that fear in my heart, I told my mom, I'm going to die. And I have not gone, now I'm dead. So I called my mom. Mama, is that Ndaisha and I come late in Kujenchaka? You know what she told me?
What did she say?
She said, Kora arareyo, ogumeyo.
If you sleep there,
stay there forever. Don't come. Just I slept at that lady's place with my heart pumping. I said, I'm dead. Even in the morning, they told me, let's make breakfast. But I said, no, my mother will kill me. Let me go.
I was sad.
And when I reached, my mom didn't greet me. Everyone else was coming, hugging me. Gloria is back after 4 months of being like in Gulu. At school. My mother kept seated there. She assumed like I had not come. She had bad anger. She had, I think, bitterness in her heart. I think she was, I don't know really what she was going through, but whatever it was, I felt it. It was all on me.
So how did you come, how did you overcome that? Like to be alone, maybe leave home and, get peace with your mom?
So I think when I look back to that story that happened before I was born, so at a certain time I felt like There is a reason. There is a reason I survived being aborted. Number one. But even when my mom did all these things, I felt like, hey, she even had wanted to abort me. You see, you see how she's treating me. She doesn't love me at all. Even suppose I would just be like, but she's your mother. Like I wanted to find out, but is she my mother or she's my stepmother? So my grandmother would tell me, she's your mother. She's your mother, and my grandmother would tell me, Asperia. So in those moments when I would be down, when my mom would beat me, throw us out of the house, I wouldn't want my dad. Of course, I knew that he wasn't available. And I knew that even if I ran to my dad, he says, give me my children. He won't be able to take care of me. He won't be able to pay my school fees. So because of that school fees, I said, I have to stay here. So I got my grandmother. My grandmother was like my pillar. Every time I had a fight with my mom, my grandmother. Every time she threw us out of the house, my grandmother. And let me tell you, my grandmama would come in the morning and tell my grandmother, I am going to come and even put down this house. I want you to
Remember, she only had two.
I know. And the people would come. Now I had to be like telling people. Now people were always so concerned. My relatives were concerned. But I've told you like my mom is tough. And she was like the owner doing something good. Yeah, like educating me. She was the owner doing something good. So she was already successful. She was already doing a good job. So so she was doing already a good job by being tough on me. Then these other aunties of mine, uncles of mine, they didn't have their children in school. So there's no way they would come and tell her, you are mistreating the girl. She would ask them,
Go and see yours.
yes, you've already, if you know that you're paying her school fees, come and say anything. Can you say anything? So from I would go to my grandmother, I would tell people, I would like be just looking for comfort, and they would tell you, she's your mother, just persevere, you see she's paying your school fees, you see how you're struggling. And my mom and I were struggling together. In all this we are struggling together because I was working hard in school, getting good results, getting good grades, so that I can also support. So I had bursaries at school. I was the head prefect at school. After I left school for a holiday, it was always torture. You would see me shining, standing on the assembly, talking but every time I went home, it was torture. So I had to talk to people, my relatives, but of course I knew that they wouldn't do anything. But then again, I was praying. I was always praying for the time I will leave home. I was praying for the time I will leave this house. So I was always praying that I don't get pregnant because I was fearing many. And I said, if I get pregnant, I will shame myself. Why am I struggling? Why am I accepting to be beaten, to be thrown out of the house when I have to end up in a certain home, a failed relationship or a failed marriage? So I prayed. I would write like my Bible letters to God. I'd like write letters to God. She bought to her. When you go in senior 3, they would ask you for a Bible. So I had a Bible. So every time she would touch, I might go back to my bedroom and read the Bible, like write letters to God. I had like a book called My Book of Bible Stories. So it had like Bible stories, but illustrated in pictures. I loved reading. So I would go and get those Bible stories. I read, I repeat, just find comfort. Then there was a friend of mine in primary school and even secondary school, like her mother had been a head teacher, and because the school was new, they had brought like the library to her home. So they had books in the attic, novels, these primary school books, secondary school books, stories. So every time I'd get some time to go to the trading center, I would go past her home. Then the brother gets for me books from the attic, and I go home with the novels. But my mom would still beat me because I laid in the trading center. If you find it dry, okay, and it was, I would even go run, and she would still beat me.